The Clemson quarterback situation is interesting. That you knew in spring. In fact, that you probably knew when you saw DJ Uiagalelei underachieve last year and them sign Cade Klubnik, a five-star quarterback, and you may have thought to yourself, will he take the job outright during spring? No, that was never realistic, but what we did get to hear are whispers from Clemson during the spring, and we all knew that that was leading towards a season eventually. And the whispers in the spring were, Cade Klubnik's too good to keep off the field. Now, you did not hear that from Dabo Swinney. You didn't hear it from Streeter, the new offensive coordinator. No, of course you didn't. It was spring, and you don't get a whole lot of access. Then summer comes around, and then fall camp comes around, and all of a sudden the tones just slightly start to change. But the folks on the ground around Clemson majorly start to change their tune from this could happen to this is probably going to happen, not a matter of if, but more a matter of when. And that thing that they're talking about is a quarterback change. And so we arrive at week 1. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Clemson's schedule, they play Georgia Tech on Monday night, which means you get to watch your team, whether it be on Thursday or Saturday or Sunday. You get all of your obligations out of the way, and you get to celebrate Labor Day in style, and then you come home, and what do you have? You got a big ACC matchup there in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, by the way. They're not playing this at Grant Field. And you've got this question that will start to be answered, and that is, who is the answer long-term at quarterback this year for Clemson? The tune seems to have changed. My take in the spring was eventually it's going to be Cade Klubnik's team for a combination of reasons. One, I think he's that good. Number two, it is very hard for me to envision a quantum leap in production from DJ in year 2. Now, it's happened before, so I'm playing the percentages there that it doesn't happen. Again, I just think a lot of the problems he had last year were not the kind that I think are correctable, at least correctable to the point where you're going to be better than Cade Klubnik. Now, that doesn't mean Cade Klubnik is their go-to option the moment he steps on campus. He's a true freshman, so there's a lot of a learning curve there. I want to visit some of the quotes most recently, and then I want to compare them with what we heard in the spring. So Dabo Swinney had a very interesting quote. This is within the last week, not spring. Quote, DJ is the starter, and he's earned that. If that changes, I guess everybody will know it. But our plan is for DJ to have an amazing season and for Cade to get as much playing time as possible because he brings some special gifts to the table that will all be game by game. It loosened a lot. The phraseology loosened a lot. Brandon Streeter, the offensive coordinator, kind of similar, said DJ's our guy right now, but Cade Klubnik is definitely going to play. Mind you, it's not week 6. They have not teed it up yet. They have not played a meaningful down of football yet for Clemson this year. This kid's never started a game. He's never played a down in college, and that's what they're saying about him already. Now, this song makes perfect sense if you know how to read the sheet music. The music is telling you Cade Klubnik's eventually going to be the starting quarterback this year for Clemson, unless either a miracle happens and DJ Uiagalelei has made quantum leaps in improvement that I don't think they've seen in practice, to be blunt, or there's injury, in which case none of us could have seen that coming. So when will that happen? Well, I think there's a tendency, Colin, if you could throw up their schedule for a second, let me show you what I mean here. There's probably going to be a tendency for some people to go to Clemson's schedule and you automatically think to yourself, oh, this will never manifest itself until they play a really good team. Do they play one in week 1 against Georgia Tech? Nah. Furman in week 2? Nah. Louisiana Tech? That's not the way it works, guys. That's not the way this will work. Because if you'll remember last year, it didn't take facing top 10 competition to expose some of the flaws in that offense. Nor will it this year if the flaws are still there. So let me paint you a little scenario. It's Monday night. It's Labor Day evening. You're mildly to moderately sunburnt. You've watched so much football over the span of the 72 hours prior, and there's Clemson versus Georgia Tech. Clemson could be up 35-0 at the half, and all's well. Or there's this other scenario where it's 13-9 at the half, and DJ Uiagalelei is like 5 for 14 with 72 yards passing and 1 turnover already. And what are people saying? Because this is not 2021. In 2021, it was, we got to ride or die with him. It's 2022, and you know you've got a stud, a true freshman stud, but a stud in Cade Klubnik. This is going to happen. If it's not in week 1, it is my belief it's eventually going to happen, and that time's going to come, And Dabo Swinney is going to have to make a decision he's paid a lot of money to make. I'm glad that I don't have to make it. He's going to have to make a decision, and he knows once you go, there's no going back. That quarterback situation is so delicate. Everyone wants to hit the button so quickly, and there's a reason why coaches seem to drag their feet. They're not dragging their feet. They just have to be fully convicted in the decision because they know they have to live with the ramifications. And I just wonder how long it takes for us to get there. I believe we'll get there. I wonder how long. Dabo knows he's got an option this year. That's what I want you to be thinking as you're watching Clemson games. If you don't know anything else about that team, they're going to be supremely talented on the defensive front. He knows that he does not have to have a quarterback putting up Heisman numbers this year. What he has to have is a guy who can move the chains, a guy with poise, a guy with accuracy, a guy who doesn't turn the ball over, just a good decision maker that has an elite physical ceiling because of the teams they'll eventually have to play down the road to get where they want to be. Is DJ Uiagalelei that? He wasn't last year. I don't expect he'll be this year. Now, I don't know that Cade Klubnik will be. I think he's got the potential to, and I think he's got a higher ceiling, and I think we're going to find that out sooner rather than later. So that's an update on the Clemson quarterback situation.